Evening,
Yo,
mate.
how you doing?
Good, man. Good. Good to finally talk to you, finally speak to you face to face.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I've just been flicking through my record collection and realised how much I like it. I've never thought about it and taken stock. So hey, it gives me an opportunity to gloat in my collection, which is wonderful.
Yeah, good, man. Good. I think that's what most of the people that we've kind of got on have kind of realised. Because I think this is probably around number 20, I think, 20th one that we've done of these. Yeah, it's good to finally have you on,
Absolutely.
obviously. I mean, I've been watching your channel for probably about 2 years now, so it's good to
It's
finally
crazy.
speak face to face.
It's crazy hearing people like talk to you about that, like this weird thing that I started when I was really bored by myself in Australia, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
people come up to you and like, oh, I feel like guy from YouTube. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is really strange.
Well, I put it on my you're saying I put it on my Instagram story not too long ago, and then I had people messaging me that I've been friends with for ages. I think Dan's in the chat now. He was one of them that was like, "Oh my god, I've been watching Jack for years. This is so good that you've got him on." So yeah, cheers for coming on, mate.
No, I really appreciate it. And yeah, well, apart from the others, thanks for watching.
Yeah, no worries. So what we'll do then? I've kind of told you a bit already, but we'll take a dive into your collection and we'll kind of intertwine it with questions, kind of like about your YouTube channel, and mostly what I'm looking forward to asking you about is kind of living out in Australia and kind of the music scene out in Australia, if that's right.
Yeah, of course. Because of my collection's a bit weird, in that I started it when I was probably 14, back when before HMV started selling vinyl again.
Oh yeah.
And they were still selling singles for like cheaper than it was to go buy it on iTunes.
Yeah.
There was this absolute golden of when a couple of weeks where I was there was a couple of years where you could just buy super cheap vinyl. Like records, albums were quite expensive, but singles were just 70p or something. So I've got this quite cool collection of little 45s as well. And then they kind of got really expensive, and then I moved to Australia and I didn't buy anything for a long time. So
Yeah.
and the plan currently is to go back. So unfortunately, it breaks my heart, but I'm avoiding buying as much as I possibly can so that I don't have to ship it, because it's going to cost so much money.
Yeah, that'll be a nightmare. So how long were you out there for then?
Moved out there in October 2018, and we worked there for a year. We did our travel visa, which I think you can do now until you're 32 or 35, I can't remember, but at the time you had to be 30. So we were 28 and we went, right, let's move out there for a year. It was something my partner always wanted to do. So we moved out there in October, and then we did a year working, and then we traveled round for a couple of months, came home in October. Yeah,
Cool,
that's kind of it.
It's kind of what we're kind of looking at doing at the minute. So it's good to kind of hear it firsthand from somebody who's been through it, which is good.
Yeah, it's hey man, it's crazy. It's the most strange, beautiful, weird place. Like, it's a little bit backwards, but in kind of a good way sometimes. The politics isn't the greatest, but it's got really pretty, like, and the history is obviously not the nicest either. But the natural history is still there and it's thriving. It's absolutely gorgeous. Music is really different. Their equivalent of Radio 1 it's like listening to Radio 1 in the evening all day, and they don't censor anything, and it's super cool. Triple J is amazing. And at the last, like, probably, and I guess I'm probably swayed because I lived there for a year, but there certainly feels like in the last probably 3 or 4 years there's been this influx of amazing bands really holding down alternative music and guitar music, and bands like Gang of Youths and stuff like that, as well as amazing producers like Flume and Tame Impala, just absolutely holding it down. So it was a cool place to be. And yeah, we're trying desperately to get back, but visa processes through COVID is a very complicated thing without COVID. So with COVID, it's even harder.
Yeah, I can imagine. Right, let's get straight into the question then. So
cool.
For anybody who doesn't know you, first of all, just give us your name, kind of what, because normally I'd say how we met, but we haven't met yet. This is the first time we've spoken face to face. So kind of what we know you for in a way, and then your favourite genre of music and how you got into it.
Yeah, cool. I'm Jack Webb. I guess we met through my YouTube channel, which I started in 2000 and I think officially I started in 2013, but I didn't really start posting content on it until 2018, for many reasons, which I'm happy to go into. I started kind of making content about music. Did a small series called Music Club, where I just shared a few records a week, learned how to speak to a camera. In the process of doing that, started making content about Reading and Leeds Festival, which I've been to Reading now 12 times. So I've been going since I was 18 and have not missed a year. Don't know if last year counts as missing a year because everyone missed it, but so yeah, that's me. And then really started putting a lot of content on YouTube around November, December 2018. Started a series called Who the Fuck, which took a deep dive into every artist that was on that poster.
What a mammoth task that is.
Yeah, in hindsight, it was stupid, but actually probably the biggest body of work I've ever done, the hardest I've ever worked. And anyone that is considering doing something similar like what you're doing now, I'm reaping the benefits of it with my career now. I edit videos and make animations and put on live streams and stuff for a job now, and I own a business doing that. So it's absolutely something that's worthwhile. So yeah, setting up a mammoth task, it was amazing because it got me really geeking the fuck out about stuff, which was great. But I also made some really cool content, and now we are in the process of trying to get series 3 back on track. Running a business and doing that at the same time is complicated, but it will happen, I promise. I've just filmed the second episode, which is about a guy called Nico B.
Love that guy. I love him so much.
He's cool, right?
He's such a funny geezer, man.
Yeah.
His social media is unbelievable.
Well, he really balances a line between like a stand-up comic and Mike Skinner. Like, it's he has fun and his confidence is through the roof, and he's clearly a very young gentleman. But wow. Also, I think like the production and his flow is really funny, and the production's lovely. So that was a winner for me. Yeah. So that's coming out. You know what, I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to have to do it. So it's going to come out this week. We've recorded episodes for Joey Cinnamon and Nova Twins, and then it's a case of going through them. The weird part with doing this is that because season 2 ended so abruptly, I've got like lots recorded.
Yeah.
And like they're done, and half of that poster either played in 2019 or was due to play last year. So I won't be redoing a lot of them, but then there's some that do need updating. So anyway, now I've just started live streaming as well, or will be officially doing like a weekly show, just like a radio show, broadcasting to YouTube, Mixcloud, and others in the future, hopefully. But yeah, that's complicated because of tech, and music licensing and copyright. So bear with me on that one. But that's a lot of fun, and it's forcing
it'll all fall into place,
which is great.
It'll all fall into place. So, you know what? It's actually funny that you've just said that you've got an episode on Jarrod Cinnamon already filmed, because right next to me is the last album I played.
Oh, right.
So a bit of a funny one, that. Right. So let's go straight in then. So the first question is, what's your latest addition to your collection?
Well, that's a really good. Well, the latest one hasn't arrived yet. I've just bought my first vinyl in 2 years, which is the new Alfie Templeman mini album. I've been following that guy for a couple of years now, and fuck, he's so good.
Yeah.
And he's just going, like, every record he puts out, he sounds like someone who's been making music for years and years, and he's, what, 18? Like, it's mental. Yeah. So I've ordered that along with the crazy little USB stick thing that comes with it.
Cool.
And I've just seen someone said Aldi Beers, top guest. Thanks,
yeah.
mate. Hey, they're £3 a packet. You can't go wrong. I'm a massive beer geek, but when you need lager, you need lager.
Lee's actually my old neighbour. Used to live across the street, and he's been a legend. He's been tuning in every week, and it's the highlight of his week.
Nice one, Lee. And absolutely, Aldi Beers are smasher. So yeah, that's my latest edition. It hasn't arrived yet. Apart from that, probably, we're going back a while now, but probably, I think, my brother purchased, I'll tell you what, I've mixed my collection with my girlfriend, so it's a little bit all over the place. Yeah. I bought Arcade Fire Everything Now.
Nice.
The really super lush orange disc version. So that's, and that album is just one of my favourite albums ever. But that was a couple back a couple of years. My little brother bought me What Went Down by Foals.
Nice.
Christmas, because I didn't have it. So that's lush.
That's a good one.
Shout out to Finley. He'll love that I'm doing that. And I bought my girlfriend the Sam Fender EP.
Quality.
Still in cellophane because I don't currently own a deck.
Well,
those are my latest.
That one's one that's currently got a Sam Fender shaped hole in my collection for I've been eyeing it up for ages, and it's a tenner, isn't it? Like on Amazon, it's a tenner at the minute, so I need to get on it.
That guy is. We're going to look back at him in 30 years' time and go, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like he in my opinion, he is going to be the Bruce Springsteen of the 2050s, for example. Like we will look back at him and just be like, wow.
When did we last see him? We last saw him supporting Liam Gallagher at the Ritz, which is like a 1,000-cap venue in Manchester for Radio X, and he held his own and like supporting someone such as, you know, iconic and big as Liam, and holding his own is insane. Yeah, he's mad.
He's crazy. I've yet to see him. He's Laura, my partner's like favorite person in the entire world. So we actually had, you know what? Pre-COVID, we had tickets to see him at Ali Pali and in Manchester.
I would have been there.
He's playing a small one in Manchester, wasn't he? And then a big one in Manchester. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was playing the Victoria Warehouse.
That's it. Yeah, I've not been. I moved like up north just before COVID. So I've not been to any gigs yet in Manchester, and I've lived here for 18 months. It's really annoying. We had tickets for that the week before, and then it was cancelled. So I was gutted.
What a nightmare. You know what? Now you've said that, when we can go back to gigs, you'll be seeing me everywhere.
Yeah, great.
You'll bump into me everywhere, I can guarantee it. It's going to be mad.
Brilliant.
Right. So, your next one then, the most impressive looking record in your collection.
Ooh.
So this might be, whichever way you want to take it, it might be the pressing of the record, it might be the album cover, completely up to you. Maybe even the condition of the record if you've got an older record.
Okay, all right, that's a good one. I've got some really cool 10-inch singles. I've got I'm Sorry by the Neighborhood, Stop Me by Mark Ronson, and Banquet by Boys Noise. Banquet by Block Party, the Boys Noise remix. All of 10-inch vinyls, which I really love 10-inch. And I've got this amazing collection of Block Party singles, which come in this really cool box.
Nice.
But the most impressive one I have, which my dad bought me for my 16th birthday or 18th, is an original pressing of Sgt Peppers. This is a mono pressing as well, mint condition. There's very few of these in the world now.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of album artwork. Like, it's as important for me as a lot of the records, which is ridiculous because I'm such a music geek. But I guess it's the graphic designer in me, and it's just so iconic. It's so iconic. I love it. All the cover cutouts are ridiculous. All of the stories about what happens with it are mad. The fact that they had to hide Hitler from it, and it's got Edgar Allan Poe in it, and it's so cool. So that's probably my most impressive one that I've got, and I'm terrified to look at it or let the sun touch it. So
I can imagine. You know, that's not the first time that one's come up for this question, which completely isn't a surprise.
Yeah, it's so iconic, isn't it? I don't think I've
got a copy, but I'm not lucky enough to have an original like you.
Yeah, it's a really cool one. It was a really great, but my dad got it for me. The other one I've got that's actually really impressive. Where is it? It's here. I bought Wonder Where We Land by Subtract a few years ago.
Oh, nice.
It's his second album with some really cool records on it. I don't think it was as good as the debut, but it is really cool. And the record it's the heavy presses, so they're really, really chunky, but it also comes with this really, really dope animated box that you put on top of it, and then you stick it on the record and you look through the holes and it makes this animated image that spins around.
Whoa.
It's really, I've done it once, but it's so cool. You put that on top of the record and you put that in there, and then it shows this animated little image of this box running around. That's a pretty cool one.
And it helps having my favourite Ezra Koenig collab that he's ever done on there.
It's a banger. It's such a cool record. He's so cool as well.
Yeah.
Hey, Subtract needs to come back, man. That as a guy and as a producer, there's a huge Subtract shaped hole in my life. That debut album of his must have come out 10 years ago now.
Oh yeah,
10 years ago. It's such a great record. So
what we're on there? 2011. 10 years.
Mad. It's and for anyone that hasn't checked that out, it is that's one of my favorite albums ever made. It's so good. It's so good. He's the guy who introduced Sampha and Jessie Ware and Roses Gabor and just some really cool talents. And that album is it's so good.
Cool, man. Good choice there. Good choice. Right. So we kind of touched on it at the beginning. So living out in Australia, then you were out there for how long did you say? Just over a year?
14 months, I think it was total.
So what is cheers, Gregor. What a legend. Gregor was another one that messaged me and said he's a big fan of yours. So
wonderful. Brilliant.
So you said you were out there for about 14 months then. So what was the music scene like out there in Australia then? Because I know you've got Triple J and the kind of the big radio station that we all know about, like the Hot 100 and like a version and stuff. So what's the scene like out there? What's the variety like?
I think the really cool thing about Australia, it's so strange being back in this country after being there for so long, because I hate the word vibe with a passion, but the vibe there is so relaxed and laid back, and so much of it feels like a 70s pipe dream, like living, like whatever, just like it's super relaxed, and that comes through in some of the music. I think that there's some incredible talents like Tash Sultana and Gang of Yeeds. Ocean Alley is the big one for me as well.
Yeah. And
those guys that have this real, hippie by the beach kind of sound. And then they've got like their own version of grime where they keep like their accents as part of it. And all their slang, and it really works, and it's a mixture of loads of different people, but it still has that kind of South London bounce to it, or North London bounce, depending on who you're speaking to. And then you have like amazing producers, like I said earlier with Flume and Tame Impala, just making real cool psychedelic stuff. And then there's amazing punk from bands like the Chats and.
Oh, you know what? That's so
there we
weird.
Go.
That is bizarre, because I was just about to get it out and speak to you about it.
They're so cool, man. Did you catch them at Leeds when you went in?
I didn't. I went and saw 75 instead.
Yeah.
But I was gutted.
One of the great things about doing that series for me was discovering so many bands. And they're actually, I lived in Brisbane, so they're actually from Noosa, which is just up the road. I say just up the road, it was like 2 hours up the road. It was here, you wouldn't drive there in a day, but just because it's so big, you do there. And it was just so strange going and seeing them in the Festival Republic stage, and having travelled back from Australia. Yeah, they were from up the road, and it was like, why did we meet in Field and Reading? Why didn't I go see them there? But they're so cool. They're super bolshy. But I was recommended them them being announced, actually, by a YouTube follower of mine, Emma Illingworth. What a hero! Been there from basically day one, and she recommended them to me. So I got to check them out, and they were great. So you get all sorts. There's bands like Tropical Fuckstorm and Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. Like, there's so much at the moment from really interesting bands that are just all over the shop. There's no it's not like, oh, they're just making guitar music. Like, there's all sorts of cool stuff happening from all over the place.
Dan, I thought that as well when the name was mentioned. There's a Facebook group for another YouTube channel that me and Dan are big fans of, called TPD TV. This is what this is about.
Yeah. They're in Leeds, right?
Yeah. So they're kind of the Leeds collective.
Do you know, I was in Leeds today and I saw the Schweb thing, like, and I think it must be their flat, or someone's just like put it. There's a massive flag that goes across somewhere. And
it'll be their flat. They've got a penthouse suite.
Yeah.
And, so and I thought that I did, Dan. Dan's also left a question for you as well. How big are the DMAs in Oz?
I knew about them pre-Oz. I think they're probably maybe bigger here.
Okay.
But I don't want to like confirm that.
Yeah.
They're certainly a big band.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they just fit in with the whole Manchester sound here so well, right? The whole like Factory Records thing. Like the whole Sheffield Manchester sound, I think they just fit in perfectly with that. The fact that they're from Oz is just like a thing that they don't really care about.
Yeah.
So I think probably they fit in quite well here for that. But they are certainly a big band over there. Certainly a big band.
So with living out in Australia then, and I know that obviously you said you've been to Leeds 12 times.
Yeah.
Did you manage? Which is insane. It's completely crazy. I think I've done Leeds twice. The closest I've got to the 12 number is I've done Kendal Calling 4 times.
Right.
But I don't think I'll ever get anywhere near to 12. That's insane.
Well, we just get to the point where, like, it's me and my brother go now. My other brother, Will, who helps me with a lot of my editing as well. He's been going since 2013. So since he was 16, and he's now 24 last week. So he's been going for a long time with me. And now it's like, if none of my mates want to go because it's full of 16-year-olds, then I'm okay with just being there with him for the weekend. And we've got a spot, and my girlfriend's parents live up the road, and we've just got down to an art form, so it's too easy to not do it now. Too easy to do it.
Well, I was going to veer off a bit and talk about kind of Australian festivals, but just kind of veering back to Reading. What made you choose Reading over Leeds? Was it that you lived down there, or?
Big part was that I lived in Winchester, which is just south of Reading. I grew up there until I was 20 when I moved to uni. But it's a weird story. I always had this thing growing up. My dad's really into music too, and I began to gigs with him every kind of other week in Southampton and Portsmouth and all over the place. And I always had this opinion that festivals aren't as good as going to a gig, because a gig is for that band. And so when I was like younger, I never went to festivals. And then it's a weird story. My godmother, her daughter had think this is a story. If they ever hear this, and I'm sorry, I think her daughter got really shit faced after that she went when she was like 17.
Yeah.
And she purchased the tickets the next day after nicking her credit card, and then was like, they just turned up like 2 weeks before the festival, and they were like, why are these here? Anyway, she basically said, do you want them for your 18th birthday? And I said, yeah, okay, cool. And then I went it was like 3 days before the festival was announced, and then I went with my mate Buster, and that was it. I was hooked.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, so going back to the Australia stuff then, did you manage to make it to any festivals out there in Australia? Like, did you manage to make it to Splendour or?
I didn't manage to make it to Splendour. That sold out so quickly. It was a weird time for me in Australia for like weird personal reasons, but I basically had very little cash while I was there, and gigs are not cheap.
Yeah.
They're more, I think actually I don't think people realise how lucky we are in this country for gigs and cost. I was speaking to buddies of mine that live in like Italy, and they're like, it's ridiculous money to go and see an act. So for example, we went to see the 1975 play in September at the River Stage in Brisbane, which is, I think, an 8,000 cap venue.
Okay.
So that's about Brixton Academy, and it was 70 quid each.
Oh my God.
Right, like, okay, 30 quid, Ali Pally, that sounds about right. But I was like, that's not even a massive gig. It's not a stadium gig. But then, like, just as a weird caveat to that, I randomly went and saw Taylor Swift, and it was £35. And I was like, okay, never going to see that again.
No.
So I'll just go watch it in a cricket stadium. It was very strange.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. I live next to, so in Brisbane, they've got this really cool old showground there's this thing they celebrate called Ekka in Queensland, which is like an agriculture festival, and they get like tractors and monster trucks and horse riders, and like, it's weird. It's like going back in time. But we went, it was good fun, and they basically purpose built this showground for Ekka. But that means for 360 days of the year, it's not being used. So there's all sorts of other events that go on there, from beer festivals and shows and all sorts. So they have a festival they put on there called Laneways, which is right in the centre, and that's a pretty small festival. It's probably the same size as something like All Points East, or what was Field Day. That was, and I live right next door, so I could just like listen in. So I didn't actually go in, but I listened in. So yeah, that year it was. I had not a lot of money, and all of it went on getting flights to come home for Reading. So
yeah.
But we watched. We paid a lot of attention to music, and I was so focused that year on R&L for 2019 that it was fine. But yeah, I think we would definitely do Splendour if we were there. Like, that's my spiritual home. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Byron Bay is the best place in the world.
Yeah, so no, I have heard good things from friends that live out there.
Yeah, it's super cool. So we would do that definitely, and I think the lineup this year is really cool. So yeah, in the future, definitely, if we get to go, but even if we don't get to go back to live, we'll definitely do Splendour in the future, because it's just a cool place, and the lineup's always good.
Yeah, quality. Right. So next one then. I know you mentioned before that you've kind of taken a break from collecting, with Australia and stuff. So I'll kind of open it up then. So your favourite album that you've added to your collection in the past, let's say 2 years?
Ooh. Well, favourite album that I've added in. I'll tell you what, my favourite album that I've added in might be more than 2 years, but it is one of my favourite albums of all time. What I tend to do with records, a lot of this is from when I used to collect drum and bass records as well, so there's some weird stuff in here. But what I tend to do is get to the end of the year, I have like album of the year, and then I go and then purchase that on vinyl. Just because, like, okay, it's made it into that category, I need to go and purchase it.
Yeah.
Good Kid, Mad City, Kendrick Lamar.
Quality.
I think the greatest hip hop album of all time. I think he's the best rapper of all time. I will happily argue with anyone about that.
Yeah.
And that's fine if someone disagrees, but I think he's just an absolute superstar. And that album is, it's like a Tarantino film in an album. It's hip hop at its finest. I think it's just a stunner. So
Good pick, that. Good pick. I'm afraid I don't agree with you with the greatest rapper of all time, but
that's fine.
But I agree with you. That's quality.
We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah, yeah, no worries. Right. So, okay, this next question has kind of been the one that's divided people a lot, because it's a tricky one, and you'll see why. Loads of people have gone down loads of different routes with it. So, if you're God forbid this, because you've only been back in the country for a year, but if your house or your flat, apartment, whatever, was on fire, and you had to run to your collection to pick out one item and save one item, what would that item be?
I'm going purely financial here, and I'm going in Sgt Peppers. That's an easy one for me.
Yeah.
Because I think that was the rarest that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean, I've got some really lovely old drum and bass records, which you don't think you can even go on Apple Music anymore. Stuff like The Immortal by DJ Fresh.
Oh, cool.
I don't think you can listen to that on Apple Music anymore or Spotify. I think you have to go to like the bowels of YouTube to find some horrible recording of it. But no, I think the rarest and most valuable to me would be my Sgt Peppers. Yeah,
good pick. Like I say, we've had so many people go so many different ways. Like they've gone financial, they've gone sentimental. I say this every week, but there was one guy that we had early on that said he'd leave all his records and take his record player because he'd invested so much money into his record player.
Yeah.
So it's just all down to what you want to do.
I think I'm quite lucky with that one. It's sentimental because it was a gift from my dad. It's the best looking thing that I own, and it's the most value, and it's just a legendary record. So yeah, it ticks a lot of boxes, that one.
Yeah, it's a good pick. Right, so we'll kind of talk about your YouTube channel a bit further, then go into a bit more detail.
Cool.
So let's start with Music Club. So how did Music Club start, and what is it for everybody that doesn't know?
Yeah, sure. So I remember it really well. I moved to London in 2017, and I remember thinking, do you know, it's actually before that. I remember watching Casey Neistat on YouTube and just going, oh my God, this guy is just incredible, and I want to be doing that. And at the time I was working in a really toxic environment, and a lot of people would put me down for any form of creativity. So it took a lot of confidence to build that up. And that's literally from probably watching Casey's first vlog in 2015 to I'm going to make Who the Fuck in 2018. That kind of 3-year stint was just all about really getting to feel comfortable making something, recording yourself, which is terrifying, and then putting it on the internet. But at the time I really wanted to make some YouTube content because I thought it was really expressive, and I have always wanted to be like a radio DJ. I just enjoy making playlists and sharing them, and my buddies always loved me making them playlists. I was DJing a lot when I was in uni, so all those stuff that kind of culminated. And I remember thinking, when I was a kid, when I was like 14, the way you would discover music was through weird compilation CDs that you'd buy, or stuff that was on magazine covers.
Yeah.
You would listen to the radio, and you would watch lots of like music television. You'd have people like Gonzo with Zane Lowe. There would be all sorts of really cool music television. And at the time, I think Graham Norton had a music guest, which is like Super Radio 2.
Yeah.
And Jules Holland is great. It's a little varied, and there's some really cool guests on there, but there's a lot of stuff that I think is quite self-indulgent for him. And I just remember thinking, why isn't Wayne's World a thing in real life? Like, why is there not someone just making cool like content about something they like and putting it on YouTube. It's completely free. So I started making a series called Music Club, which basically went in depth on 3 records that I really liked: the lyric content, the style of music, whether that was like a new artist that had been coming back. I kind of wanted to make it a little bit vloggy, so I think I made about 20 episodes, 1 a week, and I did. I was like, there was one weekend one month where I was in lots of different countries every week, and I just filmed them in like airports or whatever, or in like parks in Switzerland, and it was a really cool thing. Like going back and watching those, it's as much of a self-indulgent thing for me to go and relive those memories in a kind of travel vlog sense, but also get to listen to that music at the time. And it took me ages to make them. And then I last year wanted to take that and build it further. Podcasts have become super popular in the last couple of years. I love listening to them, and they're just a radio show. And there's something where you can't. I don't understand why more people. I listen to lots of radio, and I don't understand why more people don't have their own radio shows. Like, even if it's on a small level, it doesn't have to be broadcast to thousands of people, but if there is someone that's really into a certain genre of music or a festival or a band, why is there not someone that's curating that and also talking about it? That in my mind, that went together really well. So I started making that as what I call a playcast, which is like a mixture of a podcast and a playlist. And then I guess just I've come full circle. I'm doing a lot of live broadcasting with my work, and I thought I could just give it a go doing it live. So that's the next part. That's the evolution of Music Club as a show. And in the middle was Who the Fuck, which was the series that went crazy and just was insane amounts of work.
Well, we'll go into that now as well. So for anybody who doesn't know who the fuck is, please go into detail. This is how I found out about your channel. So,
I just got to Australia, and I was just in this real. I was unemployed, and I was just gonna make YouTube content. I was like, I can't get a job because I'm on a tourist visa. Even getting anything is super hard. So I'm just gonna put my time into developing some skills while I'm looking for a job, because you can't spend 8 hours a day looking for a job. You go mad. Yeah. So I get up in the morning, go to a cafe, do my job bits, and then I'd spend the rest of the day like researching bands and talking about stuff. And I remember the time I was really into like the forums and stuff for R&L, and they just announced the first lineup, and there was an artist called G Flip on it, and I went, I know G Flip, I love G Flip. No one else knows who she is because she's got like 900 subscribers on YouTube, and she was kind of big in Australia and whatnot, but like there was nothing about her. And I went, this is silly. There should be something out there. And the Reading beforehand, I was with my girlfriend about to go to it in 2018, and Scarlord was about to play, and Lauren said, "Who the fuck is Scarlord?" And it was just at that point it clicked, and I was like, this should be a thing. This should be a thing. And I remember doing G Flip, and right at the end of doing it, it was just going to be a one-off. I was sat on my balcony, I was staring at my camera, and I just said, I think I'm going to do this for every artist, because if I say it, then I have to do it. And then I went to edit it, and I went to cut that bit out, and I just thought, no, I'll leave it in. Like I think I had 100 subscribers.
Yeah.
And out of those 100 subscribers, 5 people would watch me on like a regular basis. And I was like, right, okay, I'll just leave it in. And then I carried on, and then there was no announcement. And then the next announcement came out, and all of a sudden, more and more people were tuning in. I did some really cool episodes about some really strange different acts, and they got loads of traction. And then I kind of had to hold myself to it. And then I got to a certain point where I was like, if I don't finish this now, it's a silly thing not to do. So I just researched everyone. Like, it's probably a book's worth. Like, it's more than a dissertation in notes. It's crazy the amount of research that went into it all. And the weird part is that there are bands where I go, did I do a video about them? I think I've done a video about them. because you'd spend like 3 hours researching a band and then record it, edit it, put it out. 20 people watched it, and then that was it. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh wow, they're a thing now. Yeah.
So you did that one for 2018. Obviously, because you've been through every act in the lineup, surely there was somebody that you didn't have a clue about that kind of pricked your interest and gone, oh, they are really good. So, kind of from what you can remember, who comes up as someone that you think because of music, because of who the fuck? How did I discover that? Like, who did I discover?
Yeah, there were. It's hard because a lot of the bands I discovered before I made the video, so I had like a record about them.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest one for me was Everyone You Know, who are from just outside London.
Yeah.
At the time, I was listening to them thinking, oh, this is going to be shit. And I really liked it.
Yeah.
I remember going, this is kind of a little bit Does It Offend You? Yeah. A little bit Prodigy, a little bit Audio Bullies, like a load of these cool bands that I really liked when I was a kid that never made it very well. Prodigy obviously are massive, but you know, like the Audio Bullies and Does It Offend You? Yeah, like a lot of people wouldn't know who they are. And I was like, right, I quite enjoy this. This is quite good fun. Anyway, I made the video about them, and I was traveling around Northern Australia with my girlfriend and her parents at the time. I was like, I really quite enjoy this. And then they were one of the first people that commented on their video and just said thanks for making it.
Oh wow.
And there are a few of those, like G Flip did that, Crewcast did it. Some people didn't like what I wrote, what I said about them. Mira May was one of those people. Yeah, she can fuck off. But they were one of the first people that did that, and then they kept putting out new singles, and I really liked it. And then they did a really cool cover of Sam Fender. And then I went and saw them, and they were really good. And then they went and supported the Amazons on their last tour, and they've just started to kind of peak. So that's the one that always springs to mind when I'm like, that whole series made me really like them. There were loads of people that I knew a little bit, and then went, oh my god, these guys are amazing. You know, people like Fiddler or the Chats, or some really cool dance acts like Prosper, and there were some really cool parts to that I really liked. But yeah, that's the one that stands out as being the episode that was just, wow, this was really something I didn't expect.
Yeah.
This is Migley, by the way. He loves to show his ass off to everyone.
Oh, if Mike was in here, he'd be doing the same.
He's hilarious.
He'd be doing the same. Well, that's funny that you've mentioned Everyone. You know, I'm Fiddler actually, because I'd seen your videos, and then I didn't really dive into them. But then on the weekend of when was it, 2019, when they were both playing Leeds, the songs came on at the camp, and I was like, oh, this is that Everyone You Know, that it's that She Don't Dance tune.
Yeah, man.
That came on, and then obviously that made me then go to the dance tent and see them, because I wouldn't really, I think they're actually the only act that I was in the dance tent for at that weekend, because not my scene, not my scene. And actually, you know what, same for Fiddler as well, because kind of the pit, it isn't my scene either. Yeah. And the only time I was in there was for Fiddler, because I heard By Myself in the camp.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Which is the proper tunes there. And obviously, I caught your videos, but I didn't kind of take a dive into it. So that made me then go back and watch the stuff and proper get into them, which is it.
That was the cool thing for me, was that there was this, in hindsight, this huge body of work that I put together. And it was weird at the time. It was, oh, no one's watching this. This is pointless. Which changed towards the end. Like, it went from 5 people watching it to a couple of hundred people watching it. To some of them, like, I think the 1975 video did was like 8,000 people watched it, and that was crazy. But it's it's this really cool body of work that exists on the internet now, and that will always be there. Like, I can watch that when I'm 80, and it will just be this really cool thing. I did that one time. I fully plan on continuing it. Just that makes it sound like it was over. But the first season certainly was like a real big one for me.
And now we know that there's going to be thousands of videos because you're going to do it for every ready to lead until the end of time, which is great. Yeah,
that's the goal, hopefully.
Brilliant.
Oh, there's a question there. Who didn't like it was Mira May. Cat. Mira May did not like her video. She didn't like that I called her a pop star, but she shouldn't make pop records if she doesn't want to be called a pop star. So
right. Was that in the comments, or did she?
No, she weirdly screenshotted it and like put loads of posts on her Instagram filming me and then just laughing in the background. It was strange. It was really odd. So
that's bizarre.
It was really strange.
That's really weird. Right. So next thing we're going to do then is I messaged you about this. This was when I asked you how many records you had in your collection. So you said around about 50.
Yeah, about that, I'd say.
Cool. We'll call it 50 then, and then we'll generate a random number.
Yeah.
You go to that number in your collection, we'll pull it out, and then we'll have a chat about it.
Cool. Do you want to include the singles in that, or just the
just
the vinyls? All right,
go for it.
It's probably more near 100.
Okay. Well, we'll call it that then.
Cool. Sweet. Give me a number.
So 87.
Okay, I'll go back 13.
Yeah, brilliant.
3, 4,
Brilliant.
5, 6, 7, 9, 10. Oh, weird one. History by Funeral for a Friend.
Oh, okay.
God Bless Emo. Yeah, I missed that too. This is a really cool single, actually. It's See Through Blue.
Nice.
I think I paid 90p for it when it came out. History and Drive, the Tiscali session version. The one before that, though, was the incredible Calm Down Dearest by Jamie T, which is
brilliant.
An amazing little single.
Nice. So, and what was that then? What was that on it? 99p was that?
Yeah, 99p. 99p for a single. When was the last time anyone bought a brand new single for 99p?
99p. Oh, I
can't blame
the dream. I can only dream of getting a brand new single for 99p now.
Yeah.
Right, 39.
39. Okay.
So nice little bit of emo there. Let's see what else is hiding right in the depths.
Ah, weird one. Okay, this is Mr. Bishy, who is an ex-banker turned drum and bass DJ turned outraged, cancelled racist. But he did have a stint making absolutely incredible records for Hospital Records. Right. And this one is a record called Falling in Love, and the B-side is She Lied. And it is such a great drum and bass record. I'm going to listen to that later, and that's such a corker. Artwork by Ricky Trickart, I think. Yeah, Trickart. All of these guys. So I don't know how much you know about the drum and bass scene, but it's in the kind of, in my formative years, I used to DJ and make a lot of drum and bass. And there's a couple of really big record labels. One of them's called Hospital Records. They're based in Crystal Palace. They run festivals and nights called Hospitality. And they have a family of artists like London Electricity, High Contrast, Fred B Graphics, loads of really cool guys. Mr. Bishy was the first person they signed and was the first person they dropped. So it was the first person they dropped because he fell out with them. But he made one amazing album where he sampled a printer, and it was really fucking cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's weird, because I didn't think I knew a lot about drum and bass, but some of the names you mentioned then and the label Hospital I've heard of. So
it's probably the biggest. It's probably the biggest. And the guys, and actually, to go back to like Music Club and Who the Fuck, the Hospital podcast, which must have started in about 2007, I think they've just hit episode 500. They put one out every week, or they might have been over that now. Really was the catalyst. It was like pirate radio in podcast form, but because everything's independently signed, and they were sending him all of the records as a DJ, because that's the way DJ pools used to work.
Yeah.
Pre like streaming, he just has the rights to just play it, and they're like, yeah, don't worry about it, just play it, it's fine. So wow. No one, he never gets sued, he never gets any copyright strikes. And but the whole format for that was such a real catalyst for what I ended up doing. Everything those guys do is just so cool. Even to this day, they're amazing.
That's crazy. Right, number 81 then for your next one.
81, right.
I was just thinking then, it's cool that because our interests are so similar with the festivals and stuff.
Yeah.
Still seeing how kind of diverse our music tastes are, even though we're kind of, you know, like in the same pool of people that like festivals, which is really cool. Because I would have never have dove into drum and bass ever. So it's quite cool that you kind of opened up my path, so to speak.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have a little dive in later.
Yeah, I'm really lucky, and I'm really lucky because my dad, when I was growing up, and when I lived part of my mum, part of my dad, and when I lived with my dad, he collected record music, so he's got like 1,000 vinyls. He's got probably 1,000 CDs as well. Super eclectic taste. And I remember, like, when I was young, he'd bring home, one week he brought home like David Bowie, Dr. Dre, and Marilyn Manson, and it was like super eclectic. So I've always been super varied. There's just music you like and music you don't. Yeah. And then when I went to college and studied music tech, and that was it. I was like, this is a fun subgenre that I've never heard of before, and I wanted to make it because it was a bit silly, and just fell in love with it. So, but yeah, I'm pretty well rounded. I love everything.
Love that.
Except for like country. 81 is Everything Now by Arcade Fire.
Love that.
Which I can say I bought this. I think I bought this at the gig, which I maintain is the best gig I've ever been to. Wow. Was at Wembley Arena. They played in the round, so they played in a boxing ring, and then in the boxing ring was. So in the outside, the whole band was around the outside, but then the middle, there was a turntable in the middle with the drums just constantly going around. Had a big Mississippi brass band coming through the audience, and wow. It was honestly, both my girlfriend and I were just in tears the whole time with how amazing it was. And then Florence came out, Boy George came out. It was like, what is going on?
Wow.
And just, yeah, everything about it was so good. So that was I'm pretty sure I bought that there, and it was the best gig I've ever been to. Both of us just halfway through went, this is the best gig we've ever been to. We were quite drunk, so we might have been lying, but it was really good.
That's crazy. Never seen anybody do anything like that. That's cool.
There's some really cool footage of it, but they also did a gig for Apple Music at the same time. I think it was 2017. Where they like filmed it properly, so you can go and watch it. And just, they're a band which refuse to put out anything less than incredible. Like everything they put out is just top class. They outdo each other. And that was co-written. That album's co-written with like half of Daft Punk. David Bowie has his inputs. Like, it's mad. It's madness.
Crazy.
So, yeah. Okay, Fire. What a band.
Cool, man. 58 for the next one.
58. Right. So 81.
Still got this Chats album out just sitting next to me. Pop that away.
Oh, hang on a minute, I've lost count.
So if anybody's got anybody that's still watching, anybody got any questions for Jack, pop them in the comments. Thank you very much. That's me trying to be social and YouTuber.
I think there was a time where I used to sample a lot of music, and all the cool bands that I looked up to, Massive Attack, DJ Shadow, like Prodigy, Pendulum, all these guys, they all sampled music from old records. And I remember going to the pub on a Sunday and being really shit-faced, and they had a record sale on, and I bought this Indian Sitar album.
Cool.
That's the music in the world of Islam. So it's got like human voices, lute, strings, flutes, and trumpet. It's literally a sample record. Like, this is a sample's Wet Dream.
Yeah.
Sample artist Wet Dream, and it's recorded all over the place: Iran, India, Nigeria, Ethiopia. Cool.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever listened to it. It's probably really good.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever listened to it, but I bought it when I was absolutely shit-faced.
That was quality. What a good pick that is.
Yeah.
Love that. Right, okay. Last one then for the random numbers, number 17.
17.
Dan's put a question in, so we'll save Dan's question for the end.
This is the first album I ever owned.
Oh, cool.
Which is NERD.
Love it.
Fly or Die. This is the one where She Wants to Move on it.
Oh, so jealous.
Yeah. Ha! I forgot I bought this. It's the first record I've bought myself with my own money.
That's a quality pick. That's been on my Discogs want list for years.
It's a corker, yeah. Yeah. I've probably listened to it once or twice, you know. But She Wants to Move is a banger, and anything that Pharrell touches is disgustingly good.
Yeah.
Holy shit, Questlove's on this. Lenny Kravitz gets a writing credits.
Oh man. Oh yeah. I'm looking at it here. Yeah. Track number 9, Thrasher.
Weird. Don't really that.
Cool. Quality that.
Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, there's all sorts of features on here. Bloody hell. I should probably listen to this. It's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I know definitely what I'm listening to first thing when I come off. Quality. She Wants to Move was probably one of the first. When were I born now? 98, came out in 2004. Probably one of the first kind of hip hop rap songs that I ever heard, really.
Yeah. Well, they were prolific as well, because what NERD did, well, for number one, Pharrell is just a ridiculous producer, and I'm actually a real big advocate for producers, way more than I am for rappers, specifically in hip hop. Don't get me wrong, I love rappers, but I would sit and listen to Dr. Dre all day, talk about beats, and I'd love to listen to Jay Dilla. Timbaland and Pharrell were the two which were just the biggest when I was kind of in my mid to late teens.
Yeah.
Well, I guess in all of the 2000s, they were just on top, and they kept one up each other. There's that amazing video where Pharrell's like, yeah, but you made this record and it was amazing, and Timbaland's like, no, but you made this record, and they just kept doing that back and forth. So they respected each other. But what NERD did was that they didn't make a rap album. They made like an R&B album, a rap album, a funk album, a rock record, like all of it. They didn't put themselves in a pigeonhole, and I think that was what was so good about them. And then now, even these days, anything that Pharrell touches is just disgusting. It's so good.
Did you manage to catch him Reading 2018?
Yeah. They announced it the week before. Like, I couldn't believe it. And they were like, oh yeah, by the way, also, NERD are playing. Wait, what? and at the time, and actually that's another part of the catalyst to the whole thing, right? Like, at the time, I remember reading through comments, and they were like, who's NERD? And I was chatting I was sat next to these kids, and they would have been 16, probably younger. Like, I think they just got their GCSEs. I'm there. I'm like 27 next to these 16-year-old kids, looking like a right old granddad. And I'm like, you don't know who NERD are?
NERD.
And they're like, yeah, like, what's that? And I was like, do you know who Pharrell Williams is? And they're like, he's the guy who did Happy.
Happy, yeah.
Anyway, at that point, I was like, but there needs to be something where people can explain this shit and why it's important.
Yeah.
For people that don't know. Funny.
That's quality. Good story. Love that. Right. So, where are we up to now? So, after the random picks, we've got a record that you regret buying. So you might not have one, because I know a lot of collectors kind of take pride in the collection and make sure that they don't have anything that they regret buying. But there's always one or two in there.
I mean, I went for a stint of getting really drunk and buying old records on eBay. So I've got like Blinded by the Lights, written by Bruce Springsteen and Manfred Mann.
Quality tune, that.
I've got like is this The Police? Pretty sure I've got Message in a Bottle by The Police.
I've got that in my singles somewhere floating around.
What's that? Don't Fear the Reaper. I remember one night just going, like, we drank loads of Jack Daniels and then put on a really cool playlist, and I just went and bought every record. Definitely couldn't afford it, and I was really drunk. But I don't really have anything. Bohemian Rhapsody. Wow, that's cool. I don't really have anything that I regret, because they were important at the time. Like, I have both versions of Awesome and
No Tomorrow. What
I'll give them Bright Idea. So those Awesome's 2 records, and I don't regret buying them. Awkward record, Rooftops by Lost Prophets.
Right.
That's kind of awkward.
Yeah, that is pretty awkward.
It's also so. Hang on, let's try and get it on like a shine of light. It's got this really cool, like etch on one side, and it's got this like pad. Like the top is padded.
Oh right.
So it's really quite different.
That is bizarre.
Yeah, it's just a shame that the front man turned into some psycho paedophile.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because Lost Prophets were part of my formative years. So yeah, it's an awkward topic, isn't it? Talking about people who go and do weird stuff, and I think the whole cancel culture conversation is an interesting one, but I don't. It's just a weird topic to talk about with Lost Prophets.
Yeah. No, but yeah, going back to Orson there, they get so much slander for being like, like a one-hit wonder for like No Tomorrow. I just don't see it. I just think No Tomorrow is just a quality, like I say indie, like a 2000s indie pop tune.
Yeah, it just is. It's just, I'm just going through it here now. Like, I've got Naive by the Kooks.
That's a quality one.
This is a really cool single, actually, as well, because I think it's Clear. But, like, the Kooks were a great record, but they were known for being a one-hit wonder. Like, most people wouldn't be able to name another Kooks record. Yes, a cool Clear single. Cool. Wow. So, look, they made fucking records and they made people happy. Who cares if it was a one-hit wonder?
Yeah, exactly.
But, Violet Hill by Coldplay. That's a bit dodgy for me. It's not very me. Just think there's anything else here that's just a bit odd that I don't really like.
Cool. I love that though. I've been eyeing up a lot of kind of mid 2000s indie records on Discogs.
Yeah.
And it was Monday when everything kind of reopened back up again. I was straight down Wax and Beans, which is the kind of the local record shop to us. Yeah. And it was like the owner there is such a legend. It was voted like second best record shop in the country, and he's just a legend. And he makes sure that whatever you want, he has in. Right. So
that's not in Altrincham, is it?
What's that?
Is it in Altrincham?
No, it's in Bury.
Okay, yeah.
It's outskirts of Greater Manchester.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went there, and he knew that I was looking for this kind of mid 2000s stuff. Yeah. So then, when he had like this box set out of singles, and everything in the front, he said to me, he went, Jarrod, just go and look in the front there. So I was flicking through, and there was like Pigeon Detectives, Kooks. Yeah. There was some Klaxons in there. Yeah. And I've got everything up.
There's a band that are so underrated. Oh my good God. Those guys put out 2, if not 3, phenomenal albums.
Who's that?
Klaxons. They're just so good.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, oh, they're just part of the whole new rave thing. No, they're amazing. They're still amazing.
They are quality. They're quality. I've got Golden Scans in there, but behind the till at Wax and Beans, funnily enough, I have their debut album just waiting for me to pick up, and I cannot wait. There you go. Love that.
What's the other one I've got? I think I got all the singles from the first album at the time. Yeah.
Just so Atlantis cool. To Interzone's just a tune that I've been playing on repeat recently.
Yeah. That whole time in music was so exciting. The whole part was so good.
It's mad. And that tune just takes me straight back to playing the Casio keyboard in primary school.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. How they managed to sample the DJ thing from a Casio keyboard is just insane.
It's
love that.
Yeah, no, they're really cool. That whole I think to an extent there's elements of that coming back now, which is really exciting. I think when you look at like the new Royal Blood stuff, which is so and like Death from Above, all their new stuff, like it's so heavily influenced by like French touch from the late 90s and what was in the early noughties when you had people like Klaxons and CSS and those kind of guys. I guess it was more mid to late, the Block Party even. There was this really cool electronic music scene happening at the same time as really cool indie music happening, and the two just went together. Yeah, and I think we're heading in that way again. We've been away from remixes being a thing for a few years now, and I think I'd like to see that come back a bit. More remixing, in my opinion, is a good thing, and I think then you just end up seeing some really cool stuff, man. Hadouken was another one that was great. Like that whole era was so cool.
Yeah, man. Love that. Right, so we've kind of come to the end. So the last question really is there any records that you love in your collection that we haven't picked out yet that you just want to grab and you want to go listen to this? This is great. Might be someone like Ocean Alley.
No, I've got So Long See You Tomorrow by Bombay Bicycle Club.
Love that.
Because I was doing a truck stream last week and someone said, can you recommend some good Bombay records?
Yeah.
And I think I just said,
I was there for that. I was watching that.
I was like, just go and hit play. Like, they're all great. But that album is such a monster from start to finish. It's just an incredible record.
I knew you were a big fan, so that's why on the first thing, I don't know if you caught it, that I was promoting this.
Right.
I put when I put my story up, this week's with Jack Webb, the tune that I put was Luna because I knew you were such a big fan.
Yeah, they're great, man. They're one of mine and Lauren's like favourite bands together. And the other record.
A classic.
I don't think you can listen to this record anymore because it's so scratched. I've listened to it so many times. Me and my little brother Will used to, when he was much younger, I don't know how old he would have been, probably like 10. Well, hang on, it came out in 2016. He's born 97, so he would have been like 9. And we played video games. And then every time we got to halfway through the record, I'd be like, Will, you need to go and flip it. And it was just something that we shared. It was like a really, really good memory. So that record's a really important one to me as well.
Cool.
And the corporate album. Fucking hell. What happened to Plastic Monkeys? They were so good.
Quality album, that. Right, so going through some questions then. Best headliner you've ever seen at Reading?
The first headliner I ever saw was Rage Against the Machine. And I think that was it. I don't think you could ever top that. I don't think they could even ever top it. At the time, it was 2008. Bush was just coming to the end of his term as president. Barack Obama, the whole vote was happening like a month and a half later. So politically, it was such a big time. We were having an election as well. So politically, it was like a really big thing. And they came out on stage. There was just an air raid siren playing for like 5 minutes. It was complete black. And then spotlights hit them. And they were in Guantanamo Bay, orange jumpsuits with bags over their head. And then they just played the entirety of Bomb Track, blind, drawing, like the whole thing, even wrapping through the bag on their head. And it was like, what is going on? Then the lights went off and then it came back up. And then it just played this insane show. So that was probably my favourite headliner. But I think the only other one I would add to that, which is my favourite stage, is always the Radio 1 NME stage. Or what was the NME stage is now the Radio 1 stage.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the Maccabees headline there in 2012, and it was just like, this is where I want to be in the world right now. This is just so good.
Wow.
We were very drunk, and it was very, very, very good. I remember all of it. So yeah, those are probably my two favourite headliners.
Cool, lovely. And then Dan's flooding in here with the statements here. Oh, which year was that? Absolutely love that. I'm guessing he was talking about Rage 2008. Did you say?
Rage 2008. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he is there. This is making me want to cry that we didn't get to see them in 2020.
Yeah, it'll happen again. Yeah,
they'll be
They're
back.
too important. Like, as a band, like, it will. They've not played in this country since 2012, I don't think. Like, or 10. Like, it's been a long time. But they haven't played at all, so it'll happen. Don't worry about it.
And then, what colour camp are you in at Reading?
Purple, always. Right along the hedgerow. As you go
Love
into
that.
purple from a green, you go on right to hook a straight left along the tree row. You get a lovely little block of shade. It's wonderful.
Brilliant.
Block from the wind, block from the sun in the morning, so your tent doesn't get too hot. You're close enough so you can walk. Like, honestly, it's an art form getting down to our spot. So if anyone nicks my spot, then we're going to fall out, and I'll burn the tent.
But yeah, Dan's definitely the type to do that as well, so I'll watch out for him.
Okay.
Right, well, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've enjoyed every minute of this. So it's been ace. And then hopefully, if you build up your collection a bit more, we can have you on for another one, because I've enjoyed it so much. Cheers, man.
We'll try and figure out a way of getting once I've figured out the stream, because it's technically such a pain in the ass. I'll figure it out, and then we can get you on for a couple of records.
Oh, cheers, man! Yeah, love that.
Nice one.
Right, fella, it's been a pleasure. Keep in touch.
Absolutely. Well, when we can, let's meet for a beer.
Yeah, man, definitely. I'll be so down for that.
Nice one.
Yes, cheers, Jack. Thanks, everybody. See you later.